Hi, welcome to our weekly energy reading and forecast. I am doing this just ahead of the full moon in Virgo on the 9th of March, which I believe will be extremely energetically charged, and I don't have the resources to tell you what to do in order to harness that energy, but what is coming to me is that this is a week of needing to let go of things that are taking space, preventing authenticity, authentic drive, authentic direction, authentic space to exist in our lives. Because because that's going to depend on you individually. I can speak for myself. The day of the full moon is also the day that Mercury goes direct. It will remain in its shadow, but it will be going direct, which hopefully will make a huge difference, because I have found the retrograde to be emotionally taxing, but clear. It started out murky, like it was a year ago. The fucking Pisces Mercury retrograde that hopefully we won't see for a while again. But a lot of it has been about finding a way to anchor myself in a sense of identity that is not permeated by the perpetual narrative that has informed my smallness. And when I say my smallness, I mean the things that hold me back from living to fulfill my potential. I can't tell you how many times in the last few days I have found myself in some shape or form in my life comparing myself to other people, not specific people, but ideas of jobs, accomplishments, where people stand on the proverbial totem pole and where things take such precedence of importance in the collective narrative, and this in turn suffocates and extinguishes really important, bright individuals and thoughts and you can't just sit in observation feeling sorry for yourself because you don't have the tangible assets to reinforce the worth of your experiences. But the only thing that you can really focus your attention on in order to fully understand the impact that you have as a human being, whether or not that is acknowledged by anyone, is your energy. It is our responsibility, our duty as vessels, human vessels, to use our energy wisely and to prevail in spite of the fact that there's so much cruelty and so much invisibility and so much defamation and so much disrespect and so much of a clawing survivalism that keeps us anchored in a lack of self-belief, a lack of self-worth. A lot of that is being shattered right now, but in shattering it, you have to go through the pain of mourning the loss of illusions that took a lot of space and oxygen. So that is my introduction for this week. And I'm going to go right into this week's spirit animal oracle, And the card is Spider Spirit. I meditated on these cards and shuffled and asked for whatever we need as guidance. So when something comes out, I accept it, whether we've had it before. And I don't even remember if we had this one before, but it's number 56, and its message is make your dreams real. Weaving your dreams into the fabric of life begins with a single thread of intention, and then Spirit joins you as your co-weaving partner. Take but a single step to make your dream a reality, and Spirit will take 10 towards you, for the universe is designed to support your dream weaving. Spider Spirit arrives when you need reminding of the awesome power of co-creation with Spirit. Ideas and resources will begin to appear as if by magic, as you begin to bring your dreams from the realm of intention into the world of the senses where they can form. The action you need to take is to be clear about your intentions and then act as if you have become the one that lives the life you desire. The web of creation has an uncanny way of coming together to weave the beautiful pattern you set in motion. Another message of Spider Spirit is about any creative project you may be considering. Writing, painting, music, journaling, gardening, etc. Now is the time when inspiration wants to be channeled through you as something creative, even artistic and tangible. Creative projects are successful now, and if you are so inclined, let yourself be open to abundance. Are you expecting your dreams to weave themselves into reality, or are you stuck in the sticky web of weaving dreams but never following through? The thread of intention isn't enough to make dreams a reality unless you do your part in weaving. Spider Spirit wants you to know that your plans will remain ephemeral unless you commit to being productive and industrious, for Spirit will not do it all for you. Magic needs to be instigated, so begin to make your dream a reality by taking action today. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? Can you release your limiting beliefs? Your dream is worthy of weaving. Today is a day to choose one small step towards your dream. Remember, Spirit is your weaving partner. You just have to be the first one to bring the thread to the loom, then continue to do your part. So, I think, to put that in context, my own personal experience, I need to write I've been extremely angry and frustrated and sad and not confused, because I'm very clear about what causes those things, but that narrative, that space that I give to all of those things that have caused me to be such a diminished version of what I could be and potential, I am complicit with allowing that to define me. And yes, there are constraints financially, just the common adversary in the world at large that, for example, in my case, looking for employment, it's like, yeah, I have standards and there's certain things that I want to have as guarantees. But in the process of pursuing those things, I'm investing my sense of worth in a bunch of people that I don't know anything about, and frankly don't have to feel invested in. It's a confusing thing, because for me, I always personalize everything, and I feel that the strength of my action is in being present and being personal. But when you're looking for a job, most people don't give a shit about you. That's not what they're in it for. So, to cut a long story short, how do we find the way of preserving our sense of worth when going out into the world to be our best selves, knowing that that is going to antagonize others, it's going to elicit the desire to destroy who you are? That is part of the mourning process, is accepting that. Yes, as spiritual beings, we are looking to elevate our consciousness and our energy to the point that we can walk tall and embody our vision despite everything. But we have to find a way to tap into our vulnerability as a strength, and to know how to protect the sanctity of our vulnerability in a world that is full of destruction, that is full of the antithesis of love. And I don't care, the community at large, like the world that we live in economically, it's driven by improvement, the concept of progress as improvement, that is very often sold in unhealthy, paradoxical illusions, temporary fixes that only make the worst of human nature be exacerbated, while somebody like myself, who should logically be an emancipated, thriving empath in the world, feels like my entire light is being extinguished constantly. Why is that? Well, that I cannot answer. But I can commit to picking myself back up when I feel like that, and focusing on what my story is, how that story feeds my true nature, and then how the fuck am I going to go out in the world and actually do something with that. And you know what? That's one of the hardest things to do, but one of the most simple in essence. Anyway, I'm talking about all these things that sound deeply personal, and they are, but I'm talking about them because they apply to you, and they apply to what's going on right now. And now I'm going to shut the fuck up and focus on the reading. So I went with a different type of spread for today. So first we're going to look at the general energies and how they're playing out, and how from an archetypal point of view, in terms of our soul progress, they play out in the present from our past. And then after that we'll look at the future energies, and then finally I've taken some advice cards. So we start with the overall energy of the week, and this is really where we're coming out of. The Two of Swords. This is a inner struggle. This is being at odds with ourselves, our identity, and how that plays out in the outside world. And it's not playing out so well right now. And I'm really hoping that the full moon energy in Virgo is going to shift that for us, because what it has us anchored in is this energy. Eight of Swords. That was my whole instinct before I even sat down to do this reading earlier on today. I thought to myself, this is a fucking Eight of Swords energy. This Pisces Mercury retrograde has just been about that. On this card it looks like a image of martyrdom, but really, and I suppose there is a correlation there, but you know, it's not a voluntary martyrdom. It's it is, you know, we say it's the stories that we tell ourselves, it's our narrative. It's like the I'm too old, I'm too uneducated, I'm too whatever it may be, you know. And I always say that too, whatever it may be, because everybody's insecurities are different. But those insecurities come from, you know, trauma, and from not being loved. And I don't mean not having any love at all, but it's one little thing, you know. It can be one person that you put all of your faith in at school. When you were on the playground, this one person had maybe made you feel safe in some way, and you attached to that person in some way, however a child's mind works, and then that person humiliates you in front of other people, and that just is a giant one of those 8 swords. They're crosses to bear. And to go into Christ consciousness, that is the symbology of what Jesus Christ was doing on the cross. He died for the sins of everyone. He was a martyr, but the Eight of Swords represents, I don't know if there's a real significance to there being 8 other than where 8 falls in the actual evolutionary scale with the cards, but 8 swords maybe we have 8 massive traumas that shape us in some shape or form. I don't know. But regardless, whether it's 8 or 80, that's what we're trying to come out of. And I did take next the 5 of Wands. I don't know why I can't hold these cards up today. The 5 of Wands, and I really couldn't understand the meaning of the 5 of Wands in this reading. So I had to get a clarifier on it. The 5 of Wands to me is a card of defensiveness. It is a card of plucking up the courage needed to it's like being the magician's apprentice, the alchemist's apprentice. It's like not knowing what to do with all the tools, so you just kind of use them all like willy-nilly to defend whatever it is that you're trying to build or trying to hold on to. And it was clarified by the 2 of Pentacles. So, what are we juggling? I don't think it's actual things that we're juggling. It's ideas. It's concepts of life. It's being in the dichotomy of, well, I'm an artist and I'm a great writer and I have so much to tell and I have all these stories and these experiences that I know would make for a wonderful motivation tool to others through written form or spoken form or whatever. But I was in the audience at a talk that my friend was a part of the panel of the other day, and it took enormous amounts of courage for me to just verbalize a question in front of an audience. I could feel myself, I always have to push myself to do that kind of thing. It's not how I appear in everyday life to be that kind of person, but there's some kind of fucking trauma where somebody didn't let me express myself when I was individuating, probably diminished the importance of what I had to say. And it probably happened many times, but in fact I know it happened many times, but the key moments of that humiliation, I always feel that in my throat. I communicate all the time and I'm a great communicator, but at the same time, oh my god, when there's an 8 of Swords energy around in me, it's like the communication, suddenly I become really aware of just how much, I don't speak my truth. I'm angry at a lot of people and a lot of things, and I suppress anger because anger to me is unhealthy because I was the victim of anger growing up. So I don't know, I've spent all this time learning to have healthy boundaries and to be spiritually centered and grounded, but in the process I quieten a very important part of who I am, which is that I am opinionated, and I'm opinionated because I have a lot of experience. And I have a lot of experience because I have courage. But when I'm trying to figure out the next stages in my life, I'm like, but I need to have a good job, and oh, it needs to have room to grow, and I need to like have this, and I don't want to do this again, and I don't need this, and I want that, and oh, I want access to privilege, and I love like being in luxurious environments, and blah blah blah. So that turns into the Two of Pentacles. Where in your life are you feeling that way? Where you're, these two things just can't, well, they do coexist, but it takes you a whole lot of work to allow them to coexist, because fundamentally you don't feel entitled to your authenticity. Or maybe it's because you're afraid that you don't know what to do with all of the magical tools that you have. Because nobody ever taught you, and you didn't have the experiences that shaped you into a natural, evolved version of whatever it is. You don't have the diploma from whatever fucking university, I mean, really like going out into the professional world like right now, like selling myself all over the place, realizing that like, I don't want to be measured in life based on whether or not I like have like a master's or a PhD, or that I'm a lesser person because I don't have an associate's degree, because I dropped out of college. I have 20 odd years of life experience that, is a massive, neutralizer of, I don't care what diploma a person has. And I'm not speaking purely of myself, I'm just using my experience to express my, the energies. In fact, maybe I'm feeling a lot of these things because I'm actually tapping into something in the greater spectrum. There's this roar that needs to come out, Meekness is not, it just doesn't really suit you, and it doesn't fit in the world that we're in. And you have to figure out how to stop juggling those two pentacles to actually find a way forward that feels authentic and worthy of your capacity. And how do we get there? We have the Hangman. Hangman is voluntary surrender to observation. It's having the certainty that enlightenment will come to us when we suspend ourselves from life just enough to be able to reconnect with our inner voice, our higher self, and our guides. Because they have a message. All of those things together have a message that we're not listening to when we're caught up in Eight of Swords energy and Two of Pentacles energy and Five of Wands energy. All of that causes this Nine of Swords. In the traditional deck, that's the person lying in bed with all the swords above their head. They're the swords representing fear, because the swords are ideas, it's our intellect. So the Nine of Swords is when we have so much of that energy and that fear and that control dynamic. It's out of control. You know, the more we try to be in control, the more out of control we feel, because we know the truth inside of ourselves, but we're not honoring it. Because sometimes it hurts, it's painful. It's hard to say, you know, like, yeah, 8 of Swords energy, you are old, or you are fat, or you are whatever. But who cares? You know? Because you're gonna have to carry on your journey anyway. And that's hard. That's really fucking hard to learn and move beyond. To get to that place of having that true bravery and faith in the universe and spirit and your authentic path, that requires sacrifice of some sort. Nobody wants to hear that. We live in a world where everybody wants to believe that they can have everything, and yet most people have nothing. And the reason they have nothing is because they're not living authentically. And that applies to the vast majority of people who would probably all be deeply offended to be categorized as such, including potentially people that are watching this. But that's just it. You can't let go of the 8 of Swords. You'll be juggling for the rest of your fucking life if you don't commit to authenticity. And that means thinking of all of your chakras. You know, alignment of chakra is also use in good intention and authentic expression of those parts of our energy. You know, our crown is our receiving part of our bodies. Our third eye is what allows us to intuit and to marry the mind to the heart. Our throat, our voice. Whenever we have throat issues, respiratory issues for that matter, you know, because they're all tied together, it's repression, it's fear. It's fear of death. And when I say that, I don't mean literal death. I mean, it is literal death, but it's fear of no longer being alive, which is actually living in poverty consciousness, because the idea is that you're going to go into that 4 of Pentacles energy of holding on to the very little that you have, because God forbid that you have less than that. And that's ending. The world came to trump the 9 of Swords in this reading. So that is our soul, psyche, spirit vibe. It makes perfect sense, given that we are really in the thick of a lot of intense astrological energies. And our future, using the Rider Waite, what's coming up for us this coming week? Well, we start with Temperance. So, balance rebalance. We've got to rebalance ourselves. We have to put down those juggling pentacles, and we need to go into that Hangman energy and rebalance ourselves. In doing so, you'll see there's a crown in the background, and she carries the two cups of the conscious and the subconscious mind, and she's gently balancing those things. And the crown leads to the crown in this, which is the King of Pentacles. So our energy is, because I don't do predictive readings in the sense of people coming into our environments, but it's quite possible if you know, that it could be a strong male, when I say male, I mean divine masculine, fatherly type, archetypal energy coming in that to appease us in some shape or form, to awaken us. But it could also be coming into that through this inner processing, coming into that energy by being in temperance and balance within ourselves, which then leads to this, the Judgment card, which is Epiphany. It is it's revival, it's renaissance, it is Judgment Day. Being reborn. Out of all of this, you know, this cycle that we've been talking about, that's been, you know, that I declared at various stages ended, you know, it's a big part of the collective conscience, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about the end of the age of Pisces, moving into the age of Aquarius. So these are, you know, we are just pawns, or not so much pawns, but we are cogs in a giant wheel of fate, of destiny, of pushing energies forward. So, you know, we have to go through these cycles over and over again in order to just make little tiny steps forward. Because even the biggest step taken by one person is tiny in comparison to the steps of the dozens of billions of people that have lived on this planet. I mean, I say dozens of billions, it could be way more, because we don't know the history of our planet. You know, I mean, ancient civilizations that were way more advanced than we can possibly even imagine, you know? But, I mean, what more confirmation could we get coming out of Judgment Day into the Fool? Starting a new journey. We are literally moving into the age of Aquarius. As we share this moment together, that is part of what all of these changes are in our world. You know? So much fear programming right now, so it's no wonder that we're in our 9 of Swords energy and our 8 of Swords energy, you know, this worrying and this feeling useless, feeling powerless. Everybody's feeling powerless, you know? We feel powerless, but then we give so much importance to people that have power over us. And the one remedy to feeling disempowered, to, you know, our own detriment and to the benefit of those that are the powers that be, is to dismiss them, dismiss their power, you know? The media, dismiss that shit, you know? Constant fear-mongering. They don't care about you. They don't care about your well-being. They care about ratings. Unplug. You do not need to know anything more about coronavirus. You wash your hands, respect personal hygiene, respect other people's hygiene, and take care of yourself. And you'll be fine. And if not, well, life goes on and on and on and on and on. It's a cycle. Your energy will be reborn. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I don't wish it upon you. I don't wish it upon me either. But at the same time, let's just call a spade a spade. In the grand scheme of things, Donald Trump, or anyone else for that matter, that has been in a position of power, you know, it's nothing. It's a grain of sand in time. And we did get one more clarifier on that Fool energy. Strength. This is Leo energy. Pulling that card with the Fool is so vague, obviously. And I know this reading's going on pretty long because I've been doing a lot of talking, but I think it's all relevant. It all ties in anyway, because I asked for 3 clarifying cards of advice as to how we attain the strength necessary for this new beginning. And, well, we got the rehash, the Hangman. So this is that reminder that, you know, we always have the ability to suspend time. You know, we always see it in TV and film, like, particularly in the 1970s, you know, like, where there was the idea that you could, like, well, I'm thinking of Bewitched, actually, so it goes back to the 60s, you know, like, being able to stop time in order to make things right or change things around in a way that will suit us better. Well, we can do that. It's called taking a time out. It's the Hangman energy. It is removing ourselves from all of the distraction, the stupid news, the stupid politics, the stupid entertainment that we consume. I mean, trust me, I do too, but I mean, we gotta take a step back from that and practice self-care. Again, it comes down to this idea of the Two of Pentacles energy. It's like, you know, how do you expect to get out of the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords energy unless you do some spiritual work on yourself, you know? You have to. You have to take care of yourself. You have to get into temperance. The advice, outcome. We got temperance again. We had it here, and we have it here. It's like, you can have fun. You can drink wine. You can do whatever it is that you do to indulge, to escape even, you know. But it has to come with temperance, which means that you have to put in the spiritual work and take the time to observe your thoughts, acknowledge your thoughts, and then let them go, because they don't really matter. You can change them. You know what? You don't like a thought? You can change it. I do it all the time. I wake up feeling completely overwhelmed. I mean, not stressfully so, but energetically so. And I feel a deep sense of grief and sadness. And it took me some Hangman moments to understand what that is. What is that grief and that sadness that I'm constantly feeling? And it's anger. Suppressed, repressed anger. Because I've been so kind and so forgiving and so indulgent in order to recalibrate myself to a spiritual ideal. But in doing so, I haven't necessarily been that kind to myself. Because, yes, I don't want to be angry as a person. And yes, I don't want to, I don't have any scores to settle with people at this point in my life. But I don't actually even express like some of the things that I feel. I have there's a bitch that I worked with at the museum that I worked at like a couple of years ago. This bitch literally has ignored multiple messages that I've sent to her, and I know that she's seen them. I'm angry about it because you know what? She's a person who I would normally use as a reference professionally. And I get very angry at people that are punitive and petty, but I don't express it. Because I grew up in an environment where expressing yourself was usually met with punishment if it was something that wasn't welcome. So when you learn that dynamic, you suppress. And where does that go? Inside of you. Most of the people I know that watch this have that similar experience about something in their life. But I think there's more. There's more stuff, And our final advice of the week is that Two of Swords came out again with the Two of Cups over it. So what does that say? Without sounding too hokey, what wins over the inner turmoil, the juggling, the uncertainty, the fear? Love. When you're powerful, truly powerful, love is what emanates from you. Not political bullshit, not score settling, not hate and vitriol and love is what cures anger too. So we have to be ready to receive love. On that note, I'm going to sign off because it's 50 minutes and that's probably too long for most of you. So I send you lots of love, peace, and wishes for a healthy journey ahead until we see each other next in a week from today. Namaste.